So, nothing's going to change my world. Great sentence for everything we're doing today. Nothing's going to change my world. Nothing. Let's all say that. Nothing's going to change my world. Now, for some of you, that's good news. And for some of you, not so much. The mind is impressionable. Yes? The mind is impressionable. Your mind is like a little child that is impressed upon at all times and says yes to everything. That means everything. The mind is impressionable. Nothing's going to change my world. Really? Nothing's going to change my world. The mind is impressionable. Nothing's going to change my world. Actually, the truth is, everything is going to change your world. Every single thing is going to change your world. Every single day, every single thing is going to change your world. Look at Reverend Nancy. She got it. Something happened, it changed her world until she stopped thinking about it and she had to go hunt it down to bring it back. And we all do that, don't we? Why was I in a bad mood? Oh, that's right. Right, that's exactly what she was saying. So Ernest Holmes says we are surrounded by a receptive intelligence which receives the impress of our thoughts and acts upon it. It has no alternative but to create the things which we think. For some people, thinking is dangerous. Think about that. Thinking is dangerous when we don't know how to think. I loved when I got into this teaching because I remember Dr. Walker saying, we don't tell you what to think. We don't teach you what to think. We teach you how to think. And when you learn how to think, thoughts become your servants. Thoughts become the things that you use to create your life in a better way. Your mind is impressionable. It is listening to what you think. Ernest Holmes also said, conscious thought is the starting point of every new creation. Just sit with that for a minute. Conscious thought is the starting point of every new creation. He goes on to say, trained thought is far more powerful than untrained, since the admission that thought is power gives it added power. In other words, when you tell yourself this is powerful, you've just added power to the thing you just said was powerful. So when you see something, experience something, remember something, think of something, create something, what you add to it adds to it. If you add fear to it, it becomes more fearful. If you add power to it, if you add possibility to it, it becomes more possible. Remember when you were a little child and you were in your room and it was late at night and everybody was asleep and it was dark, but you were still awake for some stupid reason, and you were absolutely dead certain that someone was in the closet. And I don't mean that in a metaphorical way. I was absolutely certain that someone was in the closet. Who was it? I don't think these things up, they just happen to me. So anyway, you're this little boy, and you're not knowing anything about that part of the closet. You're just thinking about what's in the closet, bad example. Under the bed. Let's say... Okay, I'm going to lose my... He's under the bed. Something is under the bed. Now, as you think about this, doesn't that get bigger and bigger and bigger to the point where now I can't even make it from the bed to the door without that thing under the bed being able to get me? Right? And I will not be able to turn on the light switch before a knife pins my hand to the wall. These were my thoughts as a child. That's how the mind works. So that's what he means here when he says trained thought is more powerful than untrained, since the admission of that thought is power, as it adds power to what you are thinking. So we have the power to create based on our thoughts and what power we add to our thoughts. The mind is impressionable. He goes on to say, this is one of the great secrets of mental science. Conscious thought is the starting point for everything. Conscious thought is the starting point for everything. I want you to notice, he doesn't say reactive thought is the starting point for everything. He doesn't say remembered thought is the starting point for everything. He says conscious thought is the starting point. He says the subjective law knows only to obey. It does what you tell it to do. Again, this is very, very good news for some of us. It is very good news when we understand that we are the point where our creative thought, my creative thought, creates my experience. Now, the title of my talk today is called Beginner's Luck. And you may wonder why or where that came from, and I don't really know. I just know that this week, as I was on my treadmill jogging, this title came to me, Beginner's Luck. And I was thinking, Beginner's Luck, what is that about? We don't teach luck. I don't believe in luck. I am a firm follower of Mae West that says luck had nothing to do with it. I'll wait. So, Beginner's Luck. One of the things I started to notice this week, how many of you have been watching the Olympics? Oh, I've loved watching the Olympics. I love watching the Olympics and feeling in me that I have the capacity to do what I'm watching. I never sit there going, oh my God, how do they do that? I think to myself, I could do that. Because, as in the musical A Chorus Line, that was about 18 minutes before I said anything about Broadway. No, but think about that, the role in A Chorus Line. I used to love that character, and that's actually what I'm going to talk about today, that character, that type of character you have, the kind of character that can say, I'm watching Cisco pitter-pat, thinking, I can do that, I can do that. Watching anyone do anything and thinking, I can do that, I can do that. And that's who I always was. I was always the I can do that. If I see it, I can do it. Show it to me, I can do that. How easy things were when I was younger. Beginner's luck. People have beginner's luck. There is such a thing as beginner's luck. But let me just tell you what luck is. Luck is a force that brings good fortune or adversity. An energy. Luck is an energy. Luck. Let's get away from the idea that luck is something that happens haphazardly. It doesn't. Luck is an energy. Your luck. You create good luck in your life. You create good karma in your life. You create good chi in your life. That's really what we're talking about here. So what's beginner's luck then? Well, beginner's luck is an energy, a chi, that doesn't have anything to compare itself to. A child that can look at something and say, I can do that. I can do that. Because there's nothing in my mind telling me I can't. That's what beginner's luck really is. When someone gets up and just does something, and you're like, that was beginner's luck. Yes, it was, because that person didn't have anything in their mind to relate it to that would tell them that there was any possibility that it was going to go any other way but perfect. And, however it goes, is perfect. So today, as we talk about beginner's luck, I want you to ask yourself, what activates and what animates your life? What is it that motivates you to make certain decisions? What is it that motivates you to do the things you do? And more importantly, what is it that motivates you not to do the things that you're not doing? Beginner's luck, a mind that doesn't know it can't do something. That's what beginner's luck is. You know, not to go off on Broadway, but for those of you who don't know that I did West Side Story, those two people, I do have a story from West Side Story. When I was first starting out in the business, there was nothing I didn't believe I could do. Now, here's an interesting thing. I called home. One of my nieces has got very sick, and they didn't know what it was. And what she got was, or what they found out she had, was Epstein's-Barr. Now, she is one of the fastest runners in Philadelphia. She is on her way to a magnificent career as a runner. And I happened to mention to one of my relatives recently, I said, how is she? Is she coming back? When will she be able to go back to training? And the answer was, well, that's not really that important, just as long as she's healthy. I said, well, her training's important to her. I mean, I expect her to be on track to go into the Olympics. And the answer was, she goes, oh, the Olympics, our family doesn't do those sort of things. I said, yeah, our family didn't go to Broadway either until I said, you're all wrong. I said, we can't teach our children that they're not capable of doing anything they decide to do. So it happens early in life, and I'm not blaming... Am I? I'm really not, because I'm sure that that person was told that as well. I'm just looking to break the cycle. So, West Side Story. I had no training. I had no real dance training. You know, I get the role in West Side Story, one of the hardest dance roles ever. I didn't know that I didn't really have the capability to play that role. It never occurred to me. I just assumed a bunch of guys dancing on a stage, I could be one of those guys. I didn't know you had to do twirls and tours. I didn't know you had to do what's called knee spins, down the center of the stage, swirling on your knees, and then come up and slowly go to the floor. See that? I didn't know any of that. So it didn't occur to me. No one told me I couldn't. And even if they did, I had the consciousness back then, I still do, of saying, I'm sure I can, just show me. So, knee spins. So in the song Cool, which was my song in the show, there is a moment when all the jets come running down stage, all the dancing jets, because they were singing jets, running down stage. We, after this enormous dance number, twirl on our knees, these knee spins that just continued, and then get up, and then slowly go to the floor, and then start singing again. It never occurred to me I couldn't do those. I did them brilliantly. Jerry Robbins showed them to us. I did them. People were falling. I was like, not my problem. I did them. We get into Miami where we opened it. Brilliant. Never fell. Totally fine. Never fell. I just didn't fall. I did what I could do at all times, meaning I can do everything. We get into previews. About the second preview, I wiped out. I did my knee spins right to the floor, which is a little embarrassing when you're center stage and you're the star of the number. And you are now splat on the floor and everyone's looking at you going, get up. And you know, in notes later that evening, you will be called out for destroying Jerome Robbins' choreography, which is, I think, the way he put it. So I just want you to know that at that moment, and put whatever is your life, at that moment, I created and I can't. And not only did I create it, I memorized it. It went into my body, it went into my consciousness, it went into my mind. And for the next few previews, I never wiped out again, but I was so wobbly. I was just so... In fact, the entire performance became about the knee spins. And there was a word before it that I spared you. Until I remembered who I was. And it was very close to opening night when I just said, how come all the time, how come I could do it and now I can't? It's because I'm afraid. I'm afraid I'm going to fall. So maybe I should just fall again and see what that feels like. And you know what? I fell again. That night, I fell again. And I got up, and I got my notes, did a whole thing, and I was like, okay, given the choice between falling in front of 1,500 people and nailing it, which do you prefer? I don't know that I fell in that entire year's run maybe one or two more times. You have the capacity in your mind to literally point to anything and say, I can do that, even after you fail. And that's the issue. Beginner's luck, beginner's mind. A beginner's mind is a mind that does not play on what is being preyed upon. It preys on you. Your past preys on you. It pulls at you. It picks at you. It tells you, no, you can't. It tells you, no, you didn't. And so now you can't. That's what's going on. You know, if conscious thought is the starting point of every new creation, as Ernest Holmes says, then I must start every new creation with the mind of a beginner, which only knows possibility. Now, as I was putting this talk together, I started asking myself, but what about expertise? What about those that just keep getting better and better and stronger and stronger? How many people watched the divers last night? I loved watching the divers. Watching the divers get up there and I listened to one of them speak later, and I went online and researched this one diver, and basically he said, I don't even know I'm competing when I do my dive. If I think I'm competing, I will not do my best. And that means competing with myself, competing with my best score, what I did best. So when you really see an expert at something, it's someone that is so clear about what they're doing that they just do it with a beginner's mind. Because the expertise is part of divine evolution. Every single person in this room has an expertise that they've gone into. What Rafe just did up here, I don't imagine he has to practice that much to get up and just do that now. Because that's what you do. I don't know where those high notes come from. Do you? God. The answer is God. You know, yes, we get better and better and better. Yes, we have expertise. Yes, we have experts at things, but it's just divine evolution. So it's not that I don't have to have the talent. It doesn't mean I don't have to have done the work to get where I am. But once I'm there, I can trust that divine evolution, moving me where I am, still takes me to the beginner's mind. And that's the trick, the gift I'm giving us all here today. What God, Spirit spoke through me this week. It was, you don't have to put down everything you know to have a beginner's mind. In fact, you have to be so clear, so truthful, so honest, so persistent in knowing what you know, and then allow yourself to go to a beginner's mind of saying, now what can I know? So when I always say to people, you know, I know nothing now, what can I know? I mean, I take everything out of my mind except what is absolutely perfectly already placed, and now start there. I was watching the people, the pole jumpers, is that what they're called? The pole vaulters. How many people in this Olympics did their personal bests? It was unbelievable. One personal best after the next. And they will all tell you they weren't trying to have a personal best. They were just doing what was theirs to do. So when I talk about beginner's luck, when I talk about the beginner's mind, I'm actually talking about not setting yourself up as someone who only goes this high. You know, I remember last night when I was watching the pole vaulters, and they said, and the commentator was saying, whatever the woman's name was, she's never done this before. This is above her ability level. She is comfortable at such and such, but this is above it. So we are all just going to hold our breath and see if some way she makes it. And I thought to myself, God, don't narrate me ever. Yes, except then I thought to myself, how many of us have that narrator in our minds? Saying, this is almost impossible, but you will give it your best shot. Good luck. And when you fail, it'll be okay, because you don't have what it takes to begin with. So, right? So the point is, in this pole vaulting thing, when I thought sitting there, I was like, how many of us tell ourselves we can only go to 17.4? Period. There's my personal best, and that's what I'm going to live with for the rest of my life. No more. Absolutely no more. It is time for you to take your personal best and throw it away. Understand that your personal best, your true personal best, is an infinite ability to do everything beyond the scope of the wildest imagination, because that's what God is. Infinite possibility. So whatever it is you're sitting here with, whatever dream, whatever desire, whatever used to be's don't last anymore. They just lay on the floor till they all fade away. You don't bring me flowers anymore. Whatever you still think is your highest, I'm going to suggest to you that you start there. You start there. Don't keep trying to get back there. You start there, and then you become the beginner. The beginner does not know what's next. So for all you people out there that are absolutely certain what is next for you, good for you. It's great for you to have dreams and ideas and aspirations, but leave the beginner mind at work as well to not know anything and see if perhaps what's next is something even bigger. Ernest Holmes coined the phrase, "It's open at the top." I fear we've closed our tops way too often. It is time for us to get back to being open at the top. So, beginner's luck. Being a beginner. You know when you start a new project and everything it's just so exciting? And then you hear so many people saying, God, it started out so well. Everybody was so excited about it. And then it kind of fizzled. No, it didn't fizzle. Your mind fizzled. Because the mind is what? Impressionable. The mind is impressionable. You've been impressing upon it ideas that you bought into from everything around you. And so I want to close this concept with the idea of forgiveness. How do we stay open at the top? How do we stay in the mindset of a beginner when it comes to forgiveness? I was asked by a number of people this week if I was going to give a talk this week on Wisconsin. And I said, I just gave a talk on Denver. I said, well, every week will I be having another city to talk about? I said, there's really only ever one talk to have in the face of such an event, and that is a talk on forgiveness. And what you should know is that our children right now in the children's program are all doing a workshop on forgiveness. Because the sooner we can get our children to understand forgiveness from a radical forgiveness standpoint, there'll be less and less and less to forgive, and that talent won't be so needed in their generation, I would like to think. So how do we have a beginner's mind when it comes to forgiveness? Well, we have to be very quick to let go of whatever it is we need to forgive and get back to the beginner's mind, which is filled with nothing but love. Nothing but love. I did not spend an awful lot of time this week paying attention to the events in Wisconsin. I saw them. I knew the truth, and I moved on with my life. And yet, it came back to me many times. A lot of people talking to me and saying, well, what do you think about this? What do you think about this person? What do you think about gun control? Because, if the guns weren't available, what do you think about the Republicans and their ideas about gun control? What do you think about the Democrats? Don't you think? It was just, it's an arsenal. It's an array of ideas and questions. And I get it. And yet, if you want to have a beginner's mind when it comes to forgiveness and love, you'll put all of that aside and trust something bigger than even a government. Trust in God so thoroughly that you know that in you and that in the universal presence knows exactly what to do in every situation. And that means you must be willing to let go of everything that comes along. Every person, every place, everything, every event. You need to take a look and see if there's anything in the past that you just need to let go of. Free people up. Free people up from what they've done to you. And don't be the person who's had things done to. That's radical forgiveness. When you recognize that as God, you really have never been touched. Because you are filled with love. So, beginner's luck. Every single one of us in this room has the capacity to walk out of this room and live at the level of beginner's luck at all times. Isn't it exciting to think that perhaps it's something to aspire to become a beginner again? That's why I love September in school. I love starting all over again. Going back to Science of Mind 101 and starting all over again and getting it again in a deeper way, in a more profound way. So, I want to end the way I began, which is telling you, the mind is impressionable. Your mind is impressionable. And nothing's going to change your world if your world is the world of God. Nothing is going to change your world if your world is the world of truth. Nothing's going to change your world if your world is the world of pure possibility, the world where everything is absolutely not only possible, but probable in a spiritually logical way. Nothing's going to change my world, because my world is the world of God. That's the truth, and that's what we're here today to remember. Namaste. Thank you.